Hello, my name is Tony Beers, and this is Movie Grades.
And just like the movies, we play out our last scene.
The movie I will review for you is entitled Watchmen, based on the graphic novel. I'm going to have to thank my good friend, the RK Stud, for giving this graphic novel to me as a Christmas present some years back. I'll also have to thank my friend Willie, since he gave me a teaser poster. The teaser poster is a hand-drawn poster by Dave Gibbons, of one of the Watchmen characters, the comedian, being attacked. Here's a little spoiler alert. I'm gonna spoil quite a bit of this movie for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. I have a unique perspective on the movie because I'm a person who actually read part of the book before seeing the movie. The reason I only read part of the book is because when I received this, I started to read it, and then shortly after there was a documentary on comic books. I saw this documentary. The documentary talked about Watchmen. They spoiled the ending for me. So I didn't finish reading the book because I already knew what was going to happen. So since I only read part of this book, some of this movie was very fresh to me. I didn't know about certain parts of it. This movie is directed by Zack Snyder, who has directed 300 and Dawn of the Dead remake. This movie stars Jackie Earle Haley as Rorschach. Some of you might be surprised to know that Jackie Earle Haley starred in The Bad News Bears back in 1976. He played, I believe he played the tough kid. Kelly Leak. This movie also stars Malin Ackerman as the second Silk Spectre. Many of you may know her as Freak Show's wife from Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. This movie also stars Billy Crudup as the voice of Dr. Manhattan. Billy Crudup also did the voice of Ashitaka in one of my more favorite animes, Princess Mononoke. This movie also stars Matt Fuhrer, who plays Moloch, one of the comedian's arch enemies. Now, I know Matt Fuhrer from the 80s as a character called Max Headroom. Matt Fuhrer must also be a friend of Zack Snyder's, since he also had a small part in the Dawn of the Dead remake. This movie also stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the comedian, Patrick Wilson as the second Night Owl, and Matthew Good as Ozymandias. This movie begins with a montage of this alternate reality in which superheroes actually exist, and it starts off in the late 1930s and it goes up until 1985 with the death of one of the superheroes, the comedian. In this alternate reality, Richard Nixon has gained a third term as president. In 1977, government passed the Keene Act, which outlawed all superheroes, except for superheroes who worked for the government. The only two superheroes that have worked for the government is the comedian and Dr. Manhattan. One of my biggest problems of this movie is the casting of Matthew Good as Ozymandias. Matthew Good is a pretty good actor, however, he does not have the physical requirements to be Ozymandias. Another one of my big complaints is the horrible makeup effects in this movie. They have Richard Nixon in this movie being played by an actor who's really not that good, and he's wearing makeup that looks as if he took a Nixon mask that you buy at any store for Halloween and just put it on. The makeup artists should be embarrassed for themselves. The makeups for the other actors who try to look old or who have scars on their faces or whatever also looks very bad. I think that Zack Snyder is very smart for taking this movie. In both the comic book movies that he's made, 300 and this movie Watchmen, are just one full story. If he had taken another character, say Spider-Man or Batman or Fantastic Four or whatever, these are characters who have a history spanning 30, 40, sometimes 50 years. It would be hard to choose one story for these characters to make a movie out of. Another complaint I have about this movie is that it is rated R, and Zack Snyder has made sure to include everything that makes an R-rated movie. In other words, what I'm saying is he pushes the violence, sex, and foul language to an R, which was not in the book. Yes, the book does have sex, violence, and foul language, but not as much as the movie. The movie is filled with the F-bomb. Nowhere in the book is the F-bomb used. Yes, Dr. Manhattan is naked in the book as he is in the movie, but I feel that the movie, he's naked too much. Every single chance that they get, they show Dr. Manhattan naked.